Hey guys, welcome to the Goddess Glow podcast. I just felt super inspired to do this podcast right now. And if you're watching this from YouTube, you can see I'm in my jammies. However, it's like nothing new. You guys seen it on Instagram. I just had this inspiration, and one of my coaches always say, when you have that inspiration, just like go do it now. And so it's like 3 o'clock in the morning here in Las Vegas. And I just got back from an event, an EDM event that most of you who have been following me or have followed me through like Instagram or Facebook or whatever have you is I enjoy EDM and I enjoy going out to the events. I am very big in the plur community. And so yeah, and I felt inspired to share with you guys today about relationships. And I was just like reflecting on my drive back, those drives where you're just thinking about life. And I just ended up seeing like this lightning strike. There's like lightning storms all around here in the valley. And I just felt like super grateful to be able to see like the I don't know, like the beauty of electricity and just how wonderful this world is. And I was able to connect with some individuals at this event. And a few months ago, I probably wouldn't say that I was able to do that unless I honestly was taking some sort of like drug or drinking or just getting like, super loose to where just all of that little chatter in your mind goes off. However, like it's like I feel like now I don't really need a bunch of those items to in order to connect with other people. And so I've been doing a lot of healing on my relationships and not just relationships with other people. However, the relationship with myself as well. And I truly believe that the relationship with self makes a precedent for all the other relationships in your life. And people or I shouldn't say people, I should say me, in the past have sort of always put my love outwards. I always tended to help others. I always wanted other people to feel my love. And I always sort of expected that if I gave my love out, I would receive that love back. And that was not always the case, or honestly, it was never the case. um, Especially because, growing up in the house that I grew up in, there was no, I just didn't know what was healthy. I didn't know that I grew up in a toxic environment because it's like when it's all that you ever know, that's what you know. And so it wasn't until I started like branching out in my adulthood and like really learning from different people and different perspectives of how healthy relationships and healthy parenting was. And because of that, now it's like I realize all of the different patterns that have been going on within my life and all the different people that I would attract, um, and how they all just like correlated with one another and how I was raised and how it really stemmed back to my childhood. And so I talk a lot about my husband and how he really, honestly, that was like the catalyst. Like he's my twin flame. That was the catalyst to my spiritual awakening. And it was the like, typical narcissist empath, like wounded empath relationship. And that opened me up to a lot of how I was being and a lot of, you know, it opened up my eyes to see what I needed to heal in my life. And a lot of what I needed to heal, honestly, was how I viewed myself and how I loved myself, which I would say like 2 years ago, well, like 2.5 years ago, 2018. Now, yeah. Oh my gosh, time flies. 2018. is when I ended up leaving my husband because I just couldn't take it anymore. However, we were together since like 2013 or 2014. I think at the end of 2013 we got together. We had Lennon in 2016, and I ended up leaving him in 2018. And so through that time period, it was a lot of just like, giving, 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 and expecting to be loved because I put so much love out. However, in a narcissistic relationship, that just doesn't happen. They just take and take. And I'm not saying that he was in the wrong per se. However, it's like I didn't set boundaries and I allowed that to happen. And it all just stemmed down to my belief that I was not lovable, I was not worthy of love, and so on and so forth. Like I had no self-confidence. Um, and I just didn't see my worth back then. And I learned a lot throughout the relationship, and I can love hard. I love very, very hard. And now, however, it's like the relationship that I have with myself is I love myself enough to set boundaries with people who are not good for me. Um, and or maybe set boundaries with people who I wouldn't say like necessarily like are toxic, more so like I set my boundaries with them. And so it's like, don't just stray them off. However, I do set boundaries with them, and I'm very adamant with my boundaries. And if they do not respect my boundaries, which thus far has only been a select few people that I have attracted that I've had to do that with, um, then that's when I'm just like, dude, like, you gotta get out. You gotta get out of my life. And I'm noticing or have noticed that the more that I don't allow like the pecking, the more that I allow people who are good for me and who are there for me and who are supportive and loving as well, into my life, being open to that and saying no to everything that doesn't serve me has very much served me in my relationships. And so, like, healing also with the relationship with myself, I had to turn inward and really like dive in and learn how to love myself. And a lot of people don't know how to love themselves. And it's could be a difficult journey when you don't want to do the healing, when you don't want to do the work. So it's like when you start getting into the mindset work and you start like sort of dissecting your life and figuring out like, hey, like what beliefs you sort of have, um, what you believe for you to be true and everything, that's when you really start seeing the changes. And the two most powerful words I feel in the English language is I am. And I am really is what your identity is. It's what you identify yourself as. If you identify yourself as a loser, like no good, like worthless piece of crap, like that's what you just identify yourself as. And that's what you're going to treat yourself like. And that's sort of what you're going to attract. You're going to attract people who believe the same exact thing as you. And like, yeah, you could be like some sort of healer, empath. However, if you don't believe yourself worthy of unconditional love and loving relationships and honesty, compassion, empathy, what have you, you're not going to attract that into your life. And so that's where it comes into like healing and really like reparenting yourself and telling yourself or giving yourself the attention that you deserve. And so a lot of people numb themselves via like drugs, alcohol, whatever it might be, or going out or being addicted to, say, like working out. It could be like what people deem as healthy habits or like healthy eating. Um, just any sort of addiction. People sort of numb themselves out from it so that they don't have to deal with themselves. And so that's where like true courage comes into play when you start diving in and seeing where you need healing and seeing where you need to reparent yourself. And it could be something simple. It could literally be something as simple as like your parents, say, have like your mother who, one instance in your childhood, like ran into your room and was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so messy," after you've put like an hour into work cleaning it. And then that's where you could develop the belief where you are just like not good enough. Like what you put in, like the work that you put into your room or what have you, all the organizing that you were doing. I guess like this did happen to me. So I'm gonna say me. um Me, like, where I would put a lot of work into cleaning and, like, of course, like, it would get unorganized and then reorganized, and then it would fall apart. Especially as a teenager, I started developing I wasn't good enough or, being pinned against my siblings. I got C's. Like I got like a C. Well, I got like C's in like what like chemistry and then like B's and A's. However, it's like I took AP classes and like college course classes and I did a lot of after school activities and I would be pinned up against my siblings saying like, "Oh, well, your sister's valedictorian, your brother was valedictorian, like they have 4.0 GPAs and this and that." And I was just like, I didn't care. I didn't care to get straight A's because I wanted to have a social life. I wanted to have a balance in life, which I don't feel like my siblings had. Just gonna whisper that one into there. Um, However, it's just like that sort of thing sort of developed the belief within me, or I should say, I translated what was said to me into a belief where I started to believe that I was not good enough, or I was not better or equal or anything. I was beneath my siblings. And so I went through life sort of like that, like sort of like dimming my light and not really believing what I had to contribute was okay. I was just never like good enough. Um, and so that stemmed into not only like every other area in my life, however, like especially relationships, what this episode is about. And I would get with people or I would attract people where I just was never good enough. And so I would get with people, say, like my husband, who, or I would just even put out that belief. Like I would say stupid shit like, "Oh, well, I'm not pretty or as pretty as this person or that person," which can be very toxic. That by no means now I would probably I mean, there are times where I'm like, "Does my butt look good?" Or like, "Does this outfit look okay?" Or I'm like not feeling like I need some hype up, asking for some help in that area. However, it's like I'm not gonna go ask someone like, "Oh, am I pretty?" just to get some sort of validation. It's like that shouldn't be needed. Like I should be able to be the one and have that relationship with myself and be like, "You know what? Ray," I'm gonna talk to myself right now. This is like usually my inner monologue. "Ray, you are beautiful, you are sexy, you are awesome and kind, and you're gonna go out there and create that motherfucking vibe." That's how I talk to myself. And so it's like you have to get to that point where it's like you can talk to yourself that way and like catch the negative talk. Like being like, "Oh man, like I just hate this pudge right here. My thighs, they look like they've been getting thicker." Actually, it's a pretty good thing in my book. I'm just saying. um, or like I'm just so jiggly in this area. Like, oh my gosh, like you have to stop yourself right there. Or even like with like work or like personality wise, like, "Oh, I just feel so boring or bland," or like, no, like you have stuff to offer. What you say matters. And it's like you have to catch yourself and stop that negative thinking right in its tracks and start moving it over to positive I ams. Like, "I am beautiful. I am lovable. I am kind. I am abundant," whatever you feel like you need. Start saying that stuff to yourself versus the negative talk. I also feel like the relationship that you have with yourself, where you essentially are disciplined and consistent. Like if you say you're going to do something, just go fucking do it. If you say or set a goal, like go do it. Like don't keep letting yourself down. Like it's like, yeah, I can share all these cool, wonderful goals with other people and blah blah blah. Like, "Oh, I let my mom down, I let my dad down." Like, okay, cool. However, did you let yourself down? Like, don't worry about other people. Like, who gives a fuck about what they think because they're not you? And at the end of the day, if you're happy, that's what matters. And when you're in that higher vibration, you're doing the things that you're passionate about, and you're doing the things that you love, and you're working towards your own goals that you set for yourself and not anyone else, and not doing that whole people pleasing, looking good thing, like that's when you're in the higher vibration and you naturally will be magnetic to whatever it is that you are desiring. And so when you're able to put that discipline in for yourself and you're able to love yourself just the way that you need to, you start attracting better people into your life. There's so many resources around us and there's so many wonderful people. And I know some people that just they've given up because they don't have any good people in their lives. And so it takes like that one person to really like, show authentic love and care sometimes to people so that they get it. And that's why it's so important to surround yourself by people who are growing and expanding and also who love themselves. And in their time of need, sometimes, they need help too. So it all stems from the relationship that you have with yourself, though. If you start switching around, like you don't have any good friends, you don't have a great support system, you're in shitty relationships, like your family, just like no contact, whatever, then that really goes to show where you are with yourself. If you're isolating yourself, it just, could be like you don't love yourself enough so that you go out and meet other people. Because if you loved yourself enough, you would go connect with other people because you would want to show how awesome you are. And yes, there's like the introverts and everything. I understand. I understand. However, it's still community, like it's human nature. It's all about connection. If you did not have that connection with some sort of being, you would have been dead. You would have been dead at as a baby. So it's like it's within us to connect with other human beings. And so that's why it's really important. I feel it's very important to get in a relationship with yourself, start loving yourself, start doing the things that you say you're going to do, like go for your goals, be disciplined and consistent with your goals. And also, like, stop with the negative self talk, and surround yourself with people who want the same and who you can help, when they're down. And then also gives like great advice and people that you can take feedback from as well. I feel like that's so important. And yeah, that's what my spiel is. I just, yeah, felt inspired to do this podcast because I've been doing a lot of healing. As I said before, I was really feeling like down and unlovable. And I honestly was feeling really, really lonely. And so I'm just in a place of gratitude now. And I feel like I have so many connections around me. I feel really connected with people. And yeah, there are times still when I like don't want to be as like connected and I want to go and travel to like Malibu or something with Lennon or like by myself to recharge. However, that's normal and that's okay too. However, it's like I don't feel lonely anymore. It's like, oh, like I call up a friend and be like, oh, hey, like, what are you doing today? Like, you want to do some cool stuff? And then we'll go do some cool shit. Um, so yeah. And I hope this podcast was able to help you guys out. Go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram. I will be launching the Law of Attraction course here soon. Um, and then also my self-care products are going to be launched here soon as well, like my jewelry, my aromatherapy jewelry or healing stone jewelry, which on YouTube you can see at Goddess Glow Collection. I also have my essential oils that help with impasse protection or just anxiety. Um, the spiritual person, spiritual awakening, meditation help, and some sexual healing stuff and confidence boosters. I have aromatherapy, or I have essential oils for that you can use in aromatherapy, and with the jewelry that I have. So that's what I have for now. And I will talk to you guys soon and have a blessed day. Bye.